with the new look.
All right, if you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. I still have Asukwa James right here. BK is also right here with us, and our guest is Daniel Bwala. So, BK, you have a question for Daniel?
Okay. I actually have two questions rolled into one.
Okay.
Talking about state police, the question is, how do we fast-track the process now that it is as apparent as daylight that we want it, at least the preponderance of our people want it? How do we fast-track the process of having state police?
Usually,
Second, the forest rangers. I need you to talk to us about the forest rangers. I'm aware that states were told to produce the potential personnel for the forest rangers. The president wants our forests protected. We have vast forests that have been ungoverned for so long, and these terrorists are using those forests to launch attacks on our people, to keep even the people that they have kidnapped. How soon can we have these forest rangers? What is responsible for the delay in unleashing them? Because even when we bomb some areas where we have terrorists, if we don't put boots on ground, if we don't man those places, they will still come back, especially if it's a critical area for them to receive ammunition or to kidnap people. So what is responsible for the delay? How do we get the forest rangers to start work as soon as possible? How do we fast-track the state police initiative?
right. The fast-tracking of the state police usually is determined by the amendment process. And oftentimes when a legislation delays, it's probably because it doesn't have a bipartisan acceptance or acceptability. So you find that probably the opposition will want to trade it off for something else. But in this case, almost all of them are agreeable to it. If you remember, in the last 1 week before Goodluck Jonathan handed over power, the kind of sweeping amendment that were made that day, it was like a miracle. They would do first reading, second reading, the past committees within 24 hours. Now, I can understand that amendment of the Constitution to incorporate state police requires the amendment of the Constitution and other relevant laws that the police are terrorism and all of that. But the thing is that if there is an agreement and consensus, as I'm seeing, with the National Assembly, it is a process that can be done within, say, 6 to 9 months, because you have to then amend Section 8 and Section 9 of the Constitution and other relevant laws. Then, of course, I like the point that the president made. He said, willing state. So that if a state is not yet ready, we will not be kept back just because a particular state is not ready. Those states that are ready, we will then, once the ground norm, once the law has been amended, then there will be a way that state can key into it and begin to produce. If you remember, Borno State was one of the first states in Nigeria that began this idea of having local forces when they introduced civilian JTF. If you ask the law enforcement, whether police, the army, or SSS, they will tell you how much success we have gained since when these guys were the local civilian joint task force was introduced. If not for anything, they were very helpful in providing intelligence because they know the people run from Borno State. Some of them are relation to the people they know. So they're able to provide intelligence on how people were arrested even within the city, because one of these elements of terrorism is that they are embedded with the people. And then secondly, they are able to provide intelligence as to their asset, their source of funding, their places where they are operating and all of that. So when we have this law amended to introduce the local policing, it will also require the amendment of our law to give this state police power to bear arms. We will also need, with time, to look into our laws where it will be amended that private citizens, when they come together under a regulated militia, they can have access to this arm for the purposes of defending. If, as we are going in our work, we will introduce the right for private citizens to have gun. Whatever we need to do to secure our country, this administration is open to those possibilities. But this administration will work with states, because if you look at the leadership style of the president, He likes to carry people along. He likes to collaborate with people. He doesn't like this idea of, usurping yourself on others. And that leadership he has provided, he has been able to commandeer a large portion of the governors of Nigeria, including those that are not in his party, to partner and ensure that this endeavor is achieved. The ball now is usually they will tell you that it is the executive has to show the will that we want state police. That's the reason why it has not been. Now, the president has passed the ball. I'm willing to sign. I'm willing to work with it. Please look into these possibilities. And I want to thank the National Assembly too, because I think I've heard about 2 lawmakers across these 2 houses that have raised it in the course of their proceedings. So the idea whose time has come is this issue of state police.
You not answer the forest guards.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
What's the response for the delay?
Yes, one, the recruitment, like you rightly mentioned, where states were asked to provide personnel and they are reluctant. I'm sure that with this national emergency on security, they will take advantage of that because we have large pool of people who are willing to work. If you advertise for army, you see a lot of people showing interest. Maybe the states were not interested at the beginning or reluctant at the beginning because they did not understand. I expect that when a policy like that is issued, the attorneys general of states should be able to communicate and break it down to their respective chief executive about the positive implication, even if they think it is negative, so that state can take informed decision regarding that. States also have to pass a law, a resolution at the state level that they are prepared to take on this endeavor. But what the president has done in the meantime is that directive that the SSS should recruit more personnel and send trained people to begin this process. So what I see happening with these forest rangers or this idea of taking care of our forests is that at this time it will be more of a clandestine operation because we don't have all of the manpower to station that. If you go to other advanced countries, what they do is that they look at these ungoverned spaces and they create what look like a military base there. So take, for example, if you take 2 military bases and you put it in Sambisa, and you go to the Niger, where we have this large expand, and then put military base here and there, you will discover that at the beginning, it will reduce to a large extent this movement of these people from the Sahel. But at the end of the day, we're going to keep them completely out. But do we have the personnel to be able to create so many military bases? That's question number one. That's why we're moving towards we're moving towards recruiting more personnel so we can have the personnel enough to put stations some people in their bases. For now, we have less than 400,000 soldiers, and their primary duty is actually to be in the forest and in our borders. But you have found how they are stretched to a point where soldiers are within the city. Even the state security service, their job is securing the state. But you have found that lately they are even helping the police and other paramilitary organizations. The Nigerian security personnel are overstretched. That is a fact that we can argue here till the cows come home. But the right direction is the directive by the president. So I expect that the forest guard operation will be in form of a clandestine operation when we have reconnaissance assets. You identify them, then these people who are in the forest will be able to carry out this operation within a short time. Because sometimes when intelligence comes about certain movement of this element, probably it will take 4 or 5 hours before you mobilize to go. These guys are moving, they are not stationary. But when you have these forest guards, strategic locations in the forest, you have some of these our forces there. Between when intelligence is given to them to when they carry out the operation will be such short a time that we'll be able to achieve more success rather than having to mobilize 10, 11 hours. By the time you go, they've already conducted the operation and are run away.
Okay. All right. The president recently ordered the withdrawal of police on VIP protection duties to boost the fight against insecurity. Tell us, how's the implementation process going? So,
so far, what we are learning is that about 11,000 or so policemen have been recalled from the VIPs. There is a bit of confusion as to whether even those who are in strategic, take for example, judges, people who are supposed to be protected, whether they too you are taking the police away from them. I think 2 days ago or so, I saw in an interview, one of the police officers was there to say they need further clarification regarding that they are going to seek clarification from the presidency. I'm sure the clarification will be given to them. But what I can understand for now is VIPs attached to celebrities, VIP attached to private citizens. All of these ones, you have to mob them. then even VIPs attached to appointees of government that are not relevant. I mean, when you have civil defense. So the implementation, from what I can understand, is that the Inspector General of Police has already recalled, I think, about 11,000 or so of police forces. And we have also asked the Nigerian people to be on the lookout and get us pictures and video where the order of the president is being violated by any officer in the Nigerian police or any of the security agencies. We'll be happy to have it, and then you can judge whether the president is serious about what he said or not.
So where would they send those pictures to?
So, you know, in these days of information technology, I've seen for many years now how that if somebody is manhandled by the police or any government official, people in social media will say, tag it till it gets to government. And within 24, 48 hours, you see official. Like, police have been very effective in that. Where a police officer violates the right of private citizen and they keep tagging, the next thing you hear the police are punishing the person, or they've taken decision, or they'll be able to answer as to why that police officer did what he did in the first place. So this is what I can say. We don't have a dedicated phone, apart from the regular phone provided by the police and all other platforms of government. But we are using social media. That's the new media. We will even extend this conversation probably sometime in the future. I'll be happy to come here to tell you the new threat that is more than Boko Haram, the manipulation of the algorithm that clone voices and clone people. That is the new means by which people want to use to cause regime change in countries of the world. Today, you will see a video of 5 years ago, and you hear somebody at the background say, it's happening now. I was telling one of my teammates that I'm supposed to be in Ibadan sometime around mid-December, and I was expressing concern about Lagos Ibadan. I said, I saw a video, the person said this thing happened yesterday. He checked it, he said this thing happened some years ago. This is how people are misusing the social media to create vitriol, to create hate, to cause panic, and to put the government in a very bad light. We will take time and sensitize Nigerian people to do what we call two-factor authentication. Anytime anything is shared to you or you come across it, the first thing you should do is, one, try to find out the source. And then two, try to verify before you reshare. We have a law that can prosecute anybody who shares anything that is unlawful and illegal. But that's another conversation for another day.
Okay, the administration has ordered the recruitment of police and military personnel. There are fears of apathy. I know, like in the Southeast, they don't even want to go to the military at all, you know. And also there's this fear about this process being hijacked by terrorists who may sneak into the system to sabotage the country. How is the government addressing these fears?
This is where what we call background checks. And it is, anytime we find that kind of fault or problem, we blame the law enforcement, whether police or SSS or anything. For now, I think of all the security platforms, the one that you say they go extra mile in doing background check, I think is the State Security Service. I overheard, I think, a video, I don't know if it's a recent video, where the former Chief of Army Staff, General Buratai, was complaining about how people, the Boko Haram, that they call the repentant, were reintegrated to the army system. Yeah. He said it is the states that they didn't have control over, that usually the personnel are recommended to them by the state government. And all they do is that they process them and then take them. We have to review that. There is no way people who are indicating to work, whether with police, SSS or anything, and you just take them because they apply. There is this thing called background check. The same check that is subjected in looking at appointees. You have to look at their history. Because these bad guys that you are seeing also understand the game. And they will want this arrangement of repentant Boko Haram. They understood the thing, and what they did was they get their guys to keep saying, we surrender, we surrender. They got into the system, they were retrained, they hear what the soldiers are hearing, they are in meetings where operations are discussed, they know the firepower of the armed forces, and they communicate to those elements. So you see that soldiers will go there, they are overpowered. How are the enemies able to assess our firepower? Is some of these things. And I'm sure that by the president's order, all security platforms in Nigeria will have to take seriously this idea of background check in recruitment. Because if you fail at that, people will rise up to the highest rank. I remember when President Goodluck Jonathan was in power, he said members of Boko Haram were in his cabinet. These are the things that background check would have been used to avoid. If you are applying for anything in America now, the question you are going to be filling, they will even know your great-grandfather because of what they will demand for you to fill in. They demand certain details that will help them. Those who process psychology will process it. Those who process history of criminality, those who process linkages, they expand the cobweb until they have a fuller knowledge. If tomorrow anybody that is recruited misbehave, they know who to meet, they know where to go, and before you know, in 48 hours, they will say, this also suspect has been arrested. Okay. This is his history. This is his trajectory.
All right, just Daniel Bwala, we need to go on another quick break. When we return, the conversation continues. Don't go away. Still Journalist Hangout.
The Zynox Computerized Nigeria Initiative, the CNP, is more than technology. It's transformation. Zynox is closing the digital divide. We provide affordable computers to millions, tearing down financial barriers to technology access.
It's a complete ecosystem. We include the device, plus reliable Starlink internet, iPower backup, and essential 24/7 support.
Zynox is helping schools move from old books to a modern, digitized learning system.
The CNP is also for business growth. We equip SMEs and corporations with the same tools, boosting productivity and efficiency nationwide. This drives economic growth. We create direct jobs, agents, trainers, and fuel a powerful, knowledge-driven economy. We guarantee total accountability. Donors receive transparent quarterly reports verifying every investment makes a positive impact. Digital access for every Nigerian, powered by Zynox.
Zynox. Anticipate the future.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Nah, money points.
Money points, thank you.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mo go Bible.
Victor, even you they use money points?
Of course now, they use money points.
Confirm.
Money point made for your progress.
All right, welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangout if you just joined us. So it's all right. So, BQ, your question.
Okay, Dr. Bwala, my question is about our friend, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. How is the situation with Donald Trump now? Does this government still harbors fears that Donald Trump will eventually send the Air Force of the United States to bomb some targets in our country? I know there has been some engagement. How successful have those engagements between both countries, representatives of both countries, been? Do you think that the attack on targets in Nigeria will take place? Do you harbor that fear that Donald Trump will make good his threat?
Yes. What we made clear from the beginning when President Trump said that he was going to, that one of the possibilities is that he will send forces to Nigeria, we just reminded them of the United Nations Convention. There are 3 grounds on which a military force of another country will enter another one. Number 1, if the host country invited you. Number 2, if you are at war with that host country. And number 3, if the United Nations permit you to go to that country. Maybe the country has to, if there's a crisis, a constitutional crisis, the United Nations can say you can then go. Now, none of that existed at the time Donald Trump said that, so we reminded them. And thankfully, our relationship with the U.S. has been so fine. They understood the point. At the beginning, we only disagreed on one point. They thought government was complicit. We made it clear to them, government is even more committed in the fight, and we reminded them of the successes we have had, arresting of Ansaru leaders, decimating Boko Haram, getting the bandits to surrender, which themselves, through their embassies in Nigeria, lauded us. So we have now come together. We are looking into ways where we will deepen our cooperation. What we need, we are making it clear to them, and how they can help us in achieving that. We have signed, we have paid for a lot of equipment. We are even discussing the possibility of a restriction as to the use of Tucano being removed. Because before now, part of the condition for the use of Tucano is you could only use it in northeastern Nigeria. And you can see the elements now are moving to other parts of Nigeria, which means you have it, you cannot use it there. But it's part of that, our conversation. And then thirdly, the only ground on which possibility of the U.S. forces being in Nigeria will fall under the condition if the country invited you. This is not a big deal. When they came and rescued the missionary, it was a joint operations. There are occasions that will warrant us cooperating with them for them to have their forces in Nigeria. But it has always been, by convention, has to be an agreement. And the reason, let me tell you, the reason behind that is that historically it has been shown, almost in all of the occasions where military forces of another country enter one without invitation, it ended in them forcefully establishing a base, or it ended up in them taking out people that they put as target that may not even be terrorists. And then the third one is they will go to the main facting issue where there is natural resource, mineral resources. So these are the reasons why country has to accept before you come in. And we are telling them areas in which we accept. But our foundational conversation is that we have an armed forces that is well able to do that if we have the right weapons, if we have the right equipment. If you give us the gadget you use for reconnaissance and intelligence collection, we will be able to handle that. So you don't have to have your military forces on ground based on our discussion at the moment, but those things that we need, if you can make it available to us. And thankfully, President Tinubu, since when he came, we've been paying upfront. Nobody is begging anybody anywhere. We've been paying. But sometimes even when you pay, it will take time. There are some of the things we paid for. Okay. It will take 2028 before it is delivered. So we're deepening that collaboration, and I can assure Nigerians that in the coming days, you will see those results.
Okay, beautiful one. We've been speaking to the special advisor to the president on policy communication, Daniel Bwala. Daniel Bwala, thank you so much for joining us on the show, Journalist Hangout.
Thank you as always. Appreciate that.
All right, gentlemen. Daniel Bwala has said a lot of things. I think he answered most of the questions brilliantly, don't you think so?
Well, it is his duty to answer the questions.
Absolutely.
We are not going to answer questions for him.
Exactly.
So, we want a country that is secure, and hopefully, in our time, Nigeria will become much safer. Absolutely. That is our wish.
Yes.
That's our wish.
That's our wish.
Yes.
Just in 20 seconds.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about the social media, and I'm hoping that the government will come up, with a plan on how to deal with the online terrorism that we have, because that's
a dangerous brand of terrorism going on now.
All right, gentlemen.
Where you lie against judges that they were singing.
Exactly.
Tinubu anthem, when none of them sang.
All right, gentlemen, and that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangouts on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Benga. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.